Welcome back, Ram fans. Mark from Rams Up here. Hey, remember a couple weeks ago, Sean McVay came out for a press conference and he wasn't his usual self. His demeanor was a little bit off. Something was going on. Ian noticed it. I watched and I kind of saw it too. And that was the same day the Rams announced that Ernest Jones had that recurring knee injury, the pain in the knee pop up again, and they were going to have to manage his workload. And we thought it was that, and it was probably part that, but it may have also been the ongoing saga, Ernest Jones agents asking for an extension and the Rams not willing to budge, apparently. At least they haven't been able to come to an agreement. And then we hear this morning that the Rams have given Ernest Jones agents permission to seek a trade, and kind of shocking news, really strange news. What does this mean for the Rams roster, their inside linebackers? What does it mean for Ernest Jones? Let's get into that a little bit. First, let's look at this from Ernest's perspective. He is the 13th highest paid Ram. Colby Parkinson, Demarcus Robinson, Darius Williams, Alaric Jackson, the suspended Alaric Jackson, all players making more than Ernest Jones. So you can kind of see where he's coming from. And on the inside linebacker rankings, as far as salary goes, he is buried, not in the top 40. Guys like Matt Milano making $12 million a year, Demarcus Davis $9.3 million. So it makes perfect sense for Ernest Jones to expect a pay raise. But look at it from the Rams' perspective, especially, they're probably a little bit traumatized from that Todd Gurley extension. What do you do with this guy? It is obviously a great player, but if this knee is going to be a chronic thing and potentially end his career early, it makes perfect sense for them to, not be really eager to give him an extension. They learned their lesson, and inside linebacker is not a critical position. Having Ernest Jones and the way he performed in this on this defense was kind of like icing on the cake, just a luxury for this defense. But we've been spoiled by his performance. Last year, he had a great year. So I get it. Ernest Jones wants a raise, but I also get it from the Rams' perspective. Dude, we're really sorry about this, but we're not going to do it at this point in the season, even if his knee was healthy. But given the concern about his knee, if the information we have is true that he is struggling with that knee again, man, how much information do we really have on that, though? Is there some politicking going on by the Rams regarding his knee? If so, it hurts them in their negotiations with Ernest Jones. It certainly does not help them if they're trying to work out a trade. So let's talk about it from a worst case scenario. They move on from Ernest Jones. Who do they got? Omar Speights is going to have to step in, and he's going to have to help this defense. I don't think you can roll with Christian Roseboom and Troy Reeder. They would be okay. We can get by with them. Jacob Hummel as well. But I'd really be looking at Omar Speights as a guy that's going to have to step up and, steep learning curve, jump in and contribute to this defense. I think he has what it takes. I think he really does. He had a really good season at Oregon, transferred to LSU. Not the best year. That hurt his draft status, but he has what it takes to be a starting linebacker. Is he an Ernest Jones caliber inside linebacker? Probably not, but he is the only linebacker on this roster, aside from Ernest Jones, that can really create havoc, make splash plays, and carry the load as a starter, the number one linebacker in this defense. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I'm just being a little hopeful here, overly hopeful that Omar Speights can step in, but not really excited about a defense with Hummel, Roseboom, and Reeder rotating through there. Although, Troy Reeder did start. I don't know if he actually started, but he contributed significantly to a Super Bowl win over the Bengals. Now I'm going to do some second guessing here. Should the Rams have drafted an inside linebacker over the last 2 years? 2023, it might have been tough. All the picks they had, They went with Warren McClendon, Davis Allen, Puka Nakua, and then Nick Hampton with a guy like Henry Tuotu out of Alabama. He's a starter for the Texans now. Probably butchered that last name. Hey, you look at the spelling, you tell me how to pronounce it. Yeah, hey, hindsight's 2020. Is Henry out of Alabama? Would he have been a sensible pick rather than Nick Hampton? Who knows? But given the current situation, if they were to move on from Ernest Jones, I think Henry would be of more value to the Rams than Nick Hampton, the silent assassin. Sorry, Nick. It's all about balance on this roster. We seem to be actually you're in pretty good shape on the edge potentially. And then in 2024, this year's draft, should they have selected someone like Cedric Gray or Tyrese Knight? Gray drafted by the Titans, Knight by the Seahawks. A lot of people think the Seahawks overdrafted Knight. Cedric Gray, he's very similar to Ernest Jones in a lot of ways, I think. So the Rams could have selected one of those guys rather than the safety Cam Kinchens. Again, hindsight's 2020. But maybe the Rams should have took that route, especially in 2024. Kinchen's probably not going to start right away. Eventually, could be a very good player, but in hindsight, I wish they had drafted an inside linebacker. So we'll see where this goes over the next couple of days. Jones will likely be on the 53-man roster unless something happens real quick. And maybe he'll end up sticking with the Rams. If the Rams end up trading or releasing him, it'd obviously be a trade. Only a $200,000 cap hit thereabouts. So not a big deal for the Rams as far as the salary cap goes, dead hits and such. But hopefully they'll figure something out, or Jones will just decide to stick it out for the Rams and see how things roll with this team. And the Rams will see how his knee is over the first half of the season and maybe end up giving him an extension. I think that's Les Snead's preference, and I think he had stated as such. No extension for Ernest Jones till later in the year, possibly even after the season. We'll see how that goes. Ernest Jones, hoping he sticks around, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this Rams inside linebacking core over the next couple of days out here from Rams Up.